Now, budget airline RyanAir is flying high, there it goes, with full-year net profits up 66% to nearly $950 million. Now, it's seen as a real turnaround for the airline, which only a couple of years ago had to admit its poor reputation for customer service was causing it quite a few problems. Well, while lower fuel prices have certainly played a part, RyanAir's chief financial officer says that's not the only reason they're doing so well.
The costs ex-fuel are flat, yes, and that's a very good performance in a year where we actually increased significantly in higher cost primary airports. So I think the cost discipline in Ryanair continues apace. The gap between ourselves and competitor airlines has definitely widened in the last year in relation to cost leadership within the company. Fuel was a good benefiter. It did help on a per passenger basis, but equally revenues were up 1% in the year, and the all-important load factor, the percentage of seats filled on the aircraft, were up 5 percentage points from 83% to 88%. We carried just under 91 million passengers in the year, and we offer 1,600 flights in the Ryanair network connecting 30 different countries around Europe. So we give you the lowest fare, we give you the best performance in relation to punctuality, cancellation, lease number cancellations, and now we're being even nicer to you on board the aircraft.
They just sound wonderful, don't they? Well, could Ryanair's nicer behaviour be behind those soaring profits? With me now is Dr. Felicity Hardley, Senior Lecturer at Westminster Business School and an expert on consumer behaviour. We're also joined by brand psychologist Jonathan Gabay. Well, thanks both of you for joining us. Felicity, let me start with that idea of niceness. I mean, look, it's a budget airline. People go for lower prices, don't they? Nicer?
Well, prices is just one reason that somebody will choose to fly one airline over another airline. And in terms of what somebody will see as being valuable, that can be very different from one person to the next. So a lot of people do make the decision that they want to have a lower price. Let's get from point A to B in the cheapest possible way. But for a lot of people, the service experience also plays a part. And if the service experience is poor, then that can put some people off.
It's certainly true, isn't it, Jonathan? If you don't get the service right, you get a reputation for bad service. I mean, they're talking there as if they've turned that round in a year or two. I don't know if that's even...
Well, it's very interesting, actually, because we all know that when it comes to Ryanair, it's all about saving money here and cutting costs there and cutting whatever it might be there. What they've done now is that they've invested in a customer service program, and the interesting thing about that, it reminds me of my mum, actually. I'll tell you why. Because my mum always taught me to say thank you, and she always said, you know, it doesn't cost anything to say thank you occasionally. And funnily enough, that little thing of just a thank you, how are you, good morning, and all that sort of idea, wow, it really is making a very seriously bottom line difference for this particular airline.
Do you think then, Felicity, that actually the old idea of no frills, in a way, that's a bit passé? You've got to be more than just no frills. As a customer really will say, if that's all you can offer me, there are better no frills out there and we'll go elsewhere.
Yeah, it's definitely. The idea of complete no frills now is much more difficult because Ryanair's competitors have been trying to catch up to Ryanair with offering lower prices, but their competitors have had a better service offering. So Ryanair has had to improve their service offering. So that's what they're looking at.
And from the customer's perspective, I mean, I would tend to think, I have flown Ryanair and I can't say it was the best experience of my life. Okay, it probably wasn't the worst, could have been better. That has put me off. How long does it take customers as a rule to change their mind? What does it take?
It can take a very long time. One bad experience, I'm sure you'll agree, can put you off for life almost, which is why it's important for Ryanair to get their message out there that they are actually improving their customer service.
I think you'll agree that when it comes to Ryanair, in terms of brand psychology and stuff like that, in the past they have actually, it seems to be that they went out of their way to keep on saying that we're going to cut this and cut that and cut this and cut that. And so it's really interesting how in the age of austerity, when one is making a cut, that it doesn't mean that you have to sacrifice service. You're right, in terms of the word getting out, I'm sure this is conversations between you and I, exactly the sort of thing that Ryanair are looking for, but we'll have to see whether that perception is going to actually take grasp out there in the audiences, in the consumer's mind.
I'm a bit of a sceptic about this niceness thing, in as much as I think people surely, I mean, what would matter more to me was not for example, being stuck out in an airport in the middle of Italy when I thought I was going to be in Rome. And I think airlines are starting to change there, aren't they? That would matter more, wouldn't it?
Well, they're trying to manage customer expectations more now. If you know what you're getting, then you're going to be more satisfied with what you get. So you might know that you're going to be stuck in the middle of nowhere, but you're going to accept that because you're aware of that decision. And I think one of the ways that RyanAir have improved is not just being nice, it's letting consumers what they're going to be getting for their experience, for the money.
Yeah.
And I think also even the idea of reducing customer stress, because we often get stressed when we're flying.
Oh, yeah.
And when it was the old no seat allocation, that was even more stress in trying to get through. So
they've grabbed some of the real key sort of pressure points and dealt with those.
Yeah, I mean, from a stress point of view, the few times I have flown RyanAir, I remember one of the things about it was I had to listen to adverts whilst I was actually... Now, I must remember I wrote the book on brand psychology, so, you know, you'd think I'd love to listen to adverts. Actually, it's the worst thing I don't want to hear any adverts, OK?
Well, you're not on your own there, with brand psychologists or not.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the interesting thing is that sort of stuff is something else that, seriously, from a psychology point of view, they need to look at. Because, I mean, you can't keep on, you know, bombarding people, even when they're on a lovely plane such as one of their flights.
How close now, Jonathan, do you think these airlines are or should be to considering themselves mainstream? I mean, you know, British Airways would still be more expensive for a flight, but people still rather like the idea of flying BA. Yeah. You don't get a better lunch if you're going on a short journey. Frankly, you don't get, you know, anything terrific. Are they in that bracket now? Have they moved that far?
No, I don't know what you think, but I don't think they are, simply because what they're doing, they have to differentiate themselves. Yeah. And the minute they start getting into that bracket as well, then it gets very confused. In fact, British Airways, what was the name of the airline that British Airways had?
Go, was it?
Go, that was it. Yeah. The Go one, it was confusing the proposition. Although I do know that British Airways have been talking to RyanAir in terms of its stake in one of the Irish airlines.
Right. And Felicity, briefly then, RyanAir, good day today. Better product now for a customer?
I think it is a better product now because they've identified some of the key issues that really annoy customers. So the constant announcements, so that they're reducing that in their evening flight. So you're not being bombarded with these constant messages and advertising for, you know, scratch cards, etc. So I think that they're recognising these things and trying to make it a better experience.
We'll see if they carry on that particular route. But Felicity, Jonathan, thank you both very much indeed.
Pleasure.
Thank you. Pleasure.
And that brings us just about to the end of this edition of Global. Thanks very much for being with us. Don't forget, bbc.com/